Hi, this is Miss Cox, and in this third video about the food journal, we'll be looking at how to create graphs and charts. So, graphs and charts, the first thing you have to do is tell Excel which cells in your spreadsheet do you want it to make a graph out of. If you have a lot of information and you go to tell it to make a graph, it won't know what to make a graph out of unless you select certain cells. So we're going to select all the cells that include calories and the types of food we ate on the first day. Do not select total. We want it to graph for us how much or how many calories each of the items had that we ate on our first day. So select those cells. And then up here, it's a little hard to see, but there's an Insert tab. You want to click on that and then click on Column. We're going to make a column chart. You can pick any. I'm going to pick a very basic one. And you'll see here that it is now graphed out the amount of calories for each of the foods I ate on the first day. Now, there's a couple important things to do first. I like to change the way it looks. If you click here, you can see all sorts of options. I'm going to make mine look a little 3D-ish. So I'm going to go with this style. And then over here, if I go to Layout, there's several tabs up here for chart tools. I'm going to go to the Layout tab, and in the Layout tab you'll see there's a chart title option. I'm going to add a title above the chart, and I'll type in day, go back, sometimes that happens when you double click, just go to close. I'm going to call it Day 1 Food, because this is the food I ate on day 1. And something really weird happened when I did that. Oh, I told it to, okay, I don't want to fill. Okay, I just accidentally clicked on something. There we go, back to normal. So, now I have a title. Now, there's also this thing over here, and this is called a legend. It's telling you what the different colors mean. Now, the problem with this is there's only one color here, so we don't actually need a legend. So I'm going to come up here to Legend, and choose the first one that says Turn Off Legend, because we don't need that. Now what we do need is for there to be a label on the vertical axis here, because if someone was looking at this, they wouldn't know what these numbers mean unless they already knew everything about your project, like me. So what you'd have to do is go up here to Axis Titles, because you want to add a title on the vertical axis. So you click on there, and you can click on the rotated, vertical, or horizontal title. I like the rotated personally. And you'll see it'll say Axis Title. You just have to type in what you want it to be. You need to type in what these numbers stand for. These numbers are calories. So I'm going to type in calories, hit enter, and bam, done. Now, this makes sense, but it's on top of my information. And frankly, it could be a little bigger. So the last thing we're going to do is go back to the Design tab, and we're going to move the chart to a new spreadsheet. We're going to we'll call the new spreadsheet Day 1 Food, so it matches the chart. I'm going to click OK, and it'll pop up in this new chart, in this new spreadsheet, and you'll see it shows up down here in the bottom. The original sheet is sheet 1, and now I have a new sheet, Day 1 Food. And there's a problem now, actually. Because this is so big, I actually need to make some of the text larger. So I'm going to make my title a little bit bigger. I'll go to the Home tab here. This is where I have my text options, and I'm just going to make my title a little bit bigger. I'm also going to make calories bigger because that's awfully tiny. There we go, that's much easier to see. I'm going to keep my words small on the bottom since there are so many of them, but I think this is much easier to read now. At this point, we're ready to move on to the second chart. So go back to sheet 1. We're going to select the foods and calories for the second day. And this time when we go to Insert, we're going to choose a pie chart. And I'm going to go with the basic pie chart here. Now, pie charts, you'll see, have a nice little legend. I couldn't remember that word for a moment. But basically, a legend appears here, and this legend is actually important because there are different colors. if you get rid of the legend, if I delete this, we have no idea what the hell this thing means. Sorry for my language. But this is not going to tell anyone any information without the legend. So we need to keep that legend. We also need a title. So let's go up to Layout, and we're going to go to Chart Title. And I'm going to add a title above the chart. And this time we're going to call it, let me delete this. We're going to call it Day 2 Food. Okay? Now, we do need some labels for this chart. I would really like for you to have some percentages, because as visual as this is, it doesn't tell us the breakdown unless you scroll over it like I am right now. So what I'm going to do, there's a couple ways of doing this. You can have it label the exact amount. I'm not going to have you do it that way. What I want you to do is go to Design, and in the Design tab here, there are some default options under Chart Layouts. And many of these options have percentages. I'm going to click on Layout 6. It has percentages built in. It makes it very easy. And I'm done. I'm feeling pretty good about this. Now, I'm going to move this to a new location, to a new spreadsheet. So I'll click up here. This time we'll call this spreadsheet Day 2 Food. And here it is. Now, I need to change a couple of things. First off, I need to make my legend a little bit bigger. It's kind of tiny. So I'm going to make this bigger. Let's try 14. That looks big enough. I'm going to click on one of the percentages, and when you do that, all of them will be selected automatically. I'm going to make those bigger as well. I'll make them even bigger than that. There we go. Giant percentages. And I'm going to increase the size of my title as well. There we go. So now this is much easier to read. Now I do notice I have a couple of zeros here because I ate several things. I had espresso and I had iced tea, and those things don't really have very many calories. So if I don't want those zeros to be included, I can click on them. If you click once, all of them will be selected. If you click again, it'll just select the one, and I can hit backspace, and I can do that for each of the zeros. And I can also then go in here and hit backspace to get rid of the two items that are not really on the chart. Now, all these things are all actually on the chart. Now, what's the difference between my two charts? They're both showing calories for different items that I ate on 2 different days. This first one, the column chart, shows me specifically item by item how many calories each of those items were. The pie chart shows you for the whole day of all the things you ate, it shows you the percent breakdown. So in this chart, I can see specifically that 38% of the calories I ate came from the El Pollo Loco Pollo Bowl. So that was where most of my calories came from that day. And if I look, the next largest piece was the bacon, egg, cheese breakfast sandwich. So that was the second area that most of my calories came from. Now, looking at this, what worries me is these two sections, the 15% and 13%, those are actually both sweets. If I look down here, one of them was the Frosty from Wendy's. Those are tasty. And one was 3 walnut chocolate chip cookies. That was a lot. That was a big chunk of the calories I ate for the day, and those were all sweets, not really healthy items. So that's something I may want to consider when I'm looking at this. But a pie chart is showing you something from a whole perspective. It's showing you the entire day's food here, all the calories for the day broken down. But you want to use pie charts really for percentages, when you want to break up the whole of something to see the parts. A column chart is much more general and shows you just generally each item. But both are helpful. I think it's interesting to have both, and for example here I can see, oh my gosh, I ate that ramen and that ramen was 700 calories. So sometimes one chart's very helpful. This chart doesn't tell us the exact calorie amount, it tells us the percentages. So this tells us slightly different information. Maybe my pollo bowl was 700 calories, but I don't know here. With the column chart, you definitely get that information. So you have to think about what chart or which chart is going to be best for your purposes. So at this point, you should have day 1 food with calories over here. You should have day 2 food with a legend over here and percentages. And you should have your sheet done with a reflection. At this point, you should follow the rest of the directions that Ms. Cox is giving you. And I think the directions will be posted on the website as well. So thank you for watching this video.